15% depending on the individual.
So it's not about me having to run to the tallest skyscraper in my city and like training there, because if I'm running up the steps, I've pretty much done my training by the time I've reached up there.
Yeah.
How does, I read somewhere about the oxygen, so since you're reducing the quantity of oxygen that the athlete or the trainer is taking in, how does that help in the body? What's happening in my body?
There are a lot of physiological benefits that take place, changes that happen. When your body is exposed to a low level of oxygen, you start burning glucose very rapidly.
Okay.
So it's very effective for a type 2 diabetic. Your lung capacity increases, your stamina increases, your red blood cell mass increases, means your body becomes very efficient at utilizing and transporting oxygen.
Okay.
That's basically what we're looking at. Your heart rate is elevated. So,
and I believe the mantra is maximum benefit out of minimum effort.
Absolutely. It's a very time efficient form of training, because what you do in our room is equivalent to about double at sea level. So if you work out for about 45 minutes in our room, it's equal to about an hour and a half of exercise done at sea level.
Harsh, that's something I think people really want from their financial investments also, maximum benefit, minimum effort. Right. How important is diversification in that context?
Well, a friend of mine actually gave me a very good example, and he just narrated his story probably to me. Okay, he lives in a building which has about 5-6 members. Okay, all of the same company, so it's a company guest house kind of a thing. Now there is a maid that comes to on a temporary basis. I mean, the morning shifts and evening shifts, not a permanent full-time maid. So she charges an X amount to all the members, which accumulates to about say 3,000 rupees a month.
Right.
Now this friend of mine says that his wife was pregnant. They needed not the morning and the evening shifts. They wanted a maid for the full day.
Yeah.
So they offered the maid 4,000 rupees. They said, okay, I'll give you 4,000. Just leave everything else. Stay with us for the whole day. It's easier for her. You don't have to go running, hopping from one house to the other. Second, you get paid more. The maid says, I'll get back to you tomorrow. Okay. The next day the maid comes back and she says, no, sorry, sir, I cannot join you. So that's exactly the point. Now he's surprised. He's like, I'm paying you more. I'm giving you more conveniences. You're going to be more at ease. So she replies back to him, what if you get transferred tomorrow? So that's asset allocation. You need to make sure that you've got your assets in all different,
Great. Okay, I'll get back to you on the diversification in a bit, diversification of assets. On ground, as you can see, they're ready to flag off our first run, the Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Schemes run. It's a 4-kilometer run. You can see the crowds have all gathered for the flag off. On the flag off stage, on the flag off platform, we have our guests, our chief guests for this morning. We have Ajay Makan, the Minister for Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation at the Government of India. We have Mr. C.S. Verma, the CMD of SAIL. Shireen Bhan from CNBC TV 18. We have Mr. Hari K from National Stock Exchange, and Siddharth Zarabi as well from CNBC TV 18. They're just ready to flag off our first run for this morning. I think the countdown is just about to begin. You can keep watching visuals from Delhi, where the National Stock Exchange and CNBC TV 18's Investothon is being run. This is our second time in New Delhi. The first time was last year. This is our second time, and as you can see, it's an unprecedented number of people that have turned out. The cold weather, the fog, the drizzle has not reduced their spirits. The enthusiasm and the energy is there amongst them. Harsh, coming back to you on the diversification bit. So, is there some kind of a formula? Is there some kind of a mantra that people can use to decide, how much in which asset class?
Well, the learning out of the example that I just gave you, however good a particular asset on an offer looks, you still cannot bet all your money into it. So that's the first thing. You need to make sure that you need to have equal allocations.
Sorry, Harsh, again, sorry to interrupt you. So the countdown is off, and as I think they're counting down for the Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Schemes run, and there it is. It's being flagged off as the first set of runners charge off. They're heading out of Tyagaraja Stadium in New Delhi, at Prem Nagar near Safdarjung Airport. Excited lot. It's fantastic. You can feel the energy on TV. There's Mr. Ajay Makan, C.S. Verma from SAIL, Hari K from NSC, Shireen Bhan, all flagging off the first run, the Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Schemes run at National Stock Exchange and CNBC TV 18's Investothon in New Delhi. Coming back to you, Harsh, right, on
diversification. Well, see, every individual needs to, plan out and allocate assets based on his risk profile, the time horizon that he has in front of him. So consider a young person, again taking the example of a 30-year-old that we took for the retirement purpose. A 30-year-old has about 30 years on his side. He can actually take more risk because he's earning right now. He has, in that sense, lesser liabilities as compared to what an older person would have.
Well, thank you, Shruti.
So he allocates more into equities, less into debt. So going by this, you would actually, divide assets among different asset classes.
Okay, cool. Neville, I want to ask you something about altitude training. Is there a certain type of people that can or cannot go? I mean, if I have for example, if I have a heart condition or things like that, that I should not go for altitude training because of, like you mentioned, you're reducing the quantity of oxygen that a person can take in.
Through research, there are no contraindications to exercising in a low oxygen environment. But if a doctor tells you that you can't exercise, then you can't exercise in an altitude environment either. It's very beneficial for people who have cardiac issues, diabetics and asthmatics and clients with obesity. It's very effective because it doesn't put too much stress on their body in order to get a result. So a cardiac patient or a diabetic who cannot even walk on a treadmill, maybe all they need to do is come into the low oxygen environment and just sit.
Right.
Just by doing that, the intensity of what they're doing is elevated. So their heart rate is increased. And so apart from that, there's nobody who can't train. It's like somebody telling you that you can't go to Leh and Ladakh. Or somebody telling you can't fly on a plane. Because all planes are pressurized at 7,500 feet.
Yes.
So if a doctor tells you can't do those things, then you can't pretty much train at altitude.
And what counts as high altitude? Because as opposed to coming to a low oxygen environment setting, I might just go to one of the hill stations or what's the height that we can get to?
About 2,200 meters, anything above 2,200 meters. So research shows that the healthiest and leanest living populations live above 2,000 to 2,500 meters. So if you go to Leh Ladakh or if you go to anywhere, and you see the people living there, they're lean, their skin is much better, and they're very, very healthy. So living in a low oxygen environment is very safe and very healthy at the same time.
Okay, that's good. That's good news. Yeah, Harsh, you wanted to come.
I have a query, Neville. When you say you reduce, it's a reduced oxygen environment. So do you reduce the oxygen? Do you add in some other gases?
No, we actually reduce the oxygen. So basically, we draw in normal air, 21% oxygen, and the membrane reduces the amount of oxygen and pumps in about 10% oxygen in the room to bring it to a level desired by us, which is about 14%.
Harsh, I'm coming to you on SIPs. I want to talk to you about SIPs. That's a very important tool for people to invest in. But there is a common myth or rather confusion. Is it better for me to invest through SIPs? For example, I'm giving in 1,000 rupees per month, as opposed to maybe 10,000 rupees in one lump sum amount. What is better? How do I balance it out?
See, Sumit, it is more dependent on what is your profile as an investor. Okay, in an upward market trend, a one lump sum is obviously going to be better because what you invest today is going to start generating returns on the entire 10,000 rupees. So, and in a market which you do not know which side the market is going to go, which is the case with all of us. So in a situation where I do not know what is going to happen tomorrow, I cannot take a call of what's going to happen in the next couple of years. So what do? Markets are going to go up and down. That's the function of the market. They are going to be volatile. How do you know which is going to be the top and which is going to be the bottom? So what you do is, you choose an amount that you will invest every month, irrespective of trying to time the market. You choose a date, on one particular date, and X amount gets invested into equities. Whatever be the market at that time. Now, because we do not know which side the markets are going to go, it is obviously going to be better to use an SIP mode. However, if you're willing to take that risk, you can stomach the risk, you understand volatility, you understand that in the short term you could possibly be incurring a higher loss than what an SIP portfolio would, then possibly you could go in for a lump sum as well. But SIPs work in a volatile market, which is the nature of the market, and lump sums, if it's a one-sided, the markets are going to go up from here, you could probably choose a lump sum investment.
Okay, great. We'll go back on ground to New Delhi. As you can see, our second run, the 2-kilometer power run, is just flagged off. And there go the runners for this second run of the day. The 2-kilometer power run, again, all excited, running full speed on, heading out of Tyagaraja Stadium in New Delhi. So these are the two runs for this morning, the 4-kilometer Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Scheme run and the 2-kilometer power run that have both been flagged off, and all the runners have headed down the route. They'll be the quick ones, the fast ones will be returning really shortly. We'll catch up with them soon also. Neville, I want to talk to you about exercising. Yeah. So it's experts say that you should exercise about 30 to 45 minutes, about maybe 4 times a week is kind of good enough. Again, it varies person to person. So comparing that to altitude training, how often should I be doing altitude training?
Firstly, it's amazing to see the enthusiasm with which these people are running in that kind of weather.
Yeah, it's great. It's just, I think it's the magic behind. I think they can feel it, that they are running for a cause, really, for the Indian investor, to run for such, creating awareness, because that is one thing that is most required always.
I think if people actually took to exercise with this kind of enthusiasm, we'd be a much healthier living population. But I think the biggest issue that we have is when we talk to anybody, a corporate or any individual, it's always that I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time. And I'm sure it's the same with investing. I don't have time to do this.
Yeah.
So what we've done with bringing altitude training to India is that we have made it very, very time efficient for everybody. As I said, half an hour in our chamber is equal to about an hour outside.
Okay.
So it's very efficient in a way that you're not putting stress on your joints, because I don't need to make you sprint or jump or do any very high impact activity in there.
So it's less wear and tear for your body as well.
By walking on the treadmill in a low oxygen environment, you're pretty much jogging at sea level.
Okay.
So it becomes very time efficient. And as you said, there is no stipulated period of time, that I need to exercise 30 minutes 5 times a week or something like that.
Yes.
As I said, it's a lifestyle change. So if you can do it every day, it's much better.
Okay.
And exercise releases feel-good hormones like serotonin, dopamine, etc. So the more you exercise, your stress levels will reduce and you feel much better.
Okay, great.